Here, you can share mine. I don't have a clue.
When are we going to get the EPO on there?
It's here.
It is on there?
Yeah. We're going to do it today. I just got all that from Tammy. I know. No, it wasn't. It's still not on there. We're just going to go on and do it today. Because we had it. Yeah, we're ready. Well, the clock is wrong. Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Bullitt County Fiscal Court. It's 6:30, and at this time, Pastor Miller, if you'd please come up and lead us in the invocation and the pledge, please, sir.
And Lord, I just pray, Lord God, that you would help us to have a productive and peaceful meeting tonight. And Lord, I thank you for the opportunity to come and to pray and to lift up your name in public, Lord. For it's in your name, Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pastor Miller. At this time, Kevin, would you call the roll to bring the court to order, please, sir?
Ms. Sanders?
Present.
Mr. Logston?
Here.
Ms. Johnson?
Here.
Mr. Bleemel? Yes. Judge Summers?
Yes. Thank you. And approval of the minutes from the May 21, 2024 Bullitt County Fiscal Court meeting.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the May 21st, 24 meeting.
Second.
Got a motion by 1st District Magistrate Sanders, a second by 4th District Magistrate Bleemel to approve the minutes of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court from May 21st, 2024 as presented. Kevin, call the roll, please.
Mr. Logston?
I'll have to abstain. I wasn't present.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Bleemel?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Ms. Sanders?
Yes.
Thank you. Treasurer's transfer report. Donna?
I'll make a motion we accept the treasurer's transfer report.
I'll second.
I have a motion by 4th District Magistrate Bleemel, a second by 3rd District Magistrate Johnson to approve the treasurer's transfer report as presented. Kevin, call the roll, please.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Bleemel?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Ms. Sanders?
Yes.
Mr. Logston?
Yes.
Thank you. Presentation and approval of all bills.
I'll make a motion that we approve all bills as presented.
I second.
I got a motion by 2nd District Magistrate Logston, a second by 1st District Magistrate, Sanders, to approve the bills as presented. Kevin, call the roll, please.
Mr. Bleemel?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Ms. Sanders?
Yes.
Mr. Logston?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Thank you. Before we get into the guest speakers, I have a special presentation by our EMS department. They're on the clock, and we'd really like to get them back out on the street. And so, Chris, and you all come up, please. And TV stars.
Good evening, everyone.
Morning, Kevin. Chris, I'm sorry. Hey, Kevin on the brain.
That's close.
So, Last night, the city of Lebanon Junction recognized us as a department for a call that we made on a 3-month-old that was in cardiac arrest. They recognized us and the Lebanon Junction Fire Department. That child did survive and is home with its family at this time. They presented us with this very nice plaque, and we are going to put that on the wall at Lebanon Junction EMS station.
Okay. And to help you, that child was in cardiac arrest. How many times did they say?
It was initially in cardiac arrest there at the scene. By the time we arrived, the fire department had regained a pulse, and then we were able to innovate, provide an airway for that patient and transport it to the hospital.
Great.
Are you allowed to discuss the circumstances?
I am not.
Okay.
The family is pretty open. They're all over Facebook, so if you want to reach out to them.
That's fine. I was just wondering if it was a choking or.
We really appreciate the city of Lebanon Junction and the family. They were there last night, and we were able to talk with them and meet the baby, and looks like it's doing very good.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Chris?
Yeah, thanks for everything you all
Thank
do,
you.
obviously, and, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Another life saved.
Yeah. And
That's
it's a
awesome.
good reward for building and having
Little
EMS
3-month-old
on site.
baby. So,
Okay, we'll go with the guest speakers. You got a list? Well,
A lot of those are going to
did you say the E-pad was here somewhere?
okay.
Like, I don't see
Um,
it. Oh, shoot.
Renee Hammond. Roanne Hammond. I'm sorry, I
We
couldn't
don't
read
have
the
it,
first
just
one.
you have it.
Okay. Okay, so we'll just bounce down through here and see who's not on here for the zoning case. Looks like all of them are. If anybody's here not to speak on the zoning case, please raise your hand. Are you serious?
Well, the air just went off, that'll help a little bit.
Okay. All right, well, is anyone here not to speak on the zoning case? Okay, well, you'll get your chance here in a minute. All right, so we'll move forward then with Charlie, the comprehensive plan, open house.
Charlie, you're a big head, there's a lot of people excited about this.
Good. So a lot of folks have been asking about the comp plan. We're finally getting rolling. So we got our first public open house coming up on June 11th. It's going to be at the Bullitt County Emergency Services Building on 238 Saltwell Road between 4:30 and 6 p.m. So we want people to come out. They'll discuss the some of the current status of where we're at and get some feedback from the public. So we definitely want you to come out. Got some flyers here if anyone wants to take one. It's got the location, and it also has the website where you can take the survey on it if you would like to do that as well. So that's basically what I just wanted to get that out there.
I've had a couple questions on the structure of that. I've shared it on Facebook. Is that something where somebody can stop in for 5 minutes and share their input, or is it
Yes.
something that's going to be more structured in a presentation, or?
No, they'll have display boards up, and I'll be there, the consultants will be there to ask and answer basic questions. But yeah, they can pop in for 5 minutes if they just want to see the basics. And drop.
Okay.
Will that be the only open house that you have for this?
There will be another one later.
Okay. I'll be in a conference that week.
Any other questions for Charlie?
No, I know it's been a long time coming, so I know a lot of people's excited about updating the comprehensive plan, so. For those of you that's in here that don't know, is it 2015? Is that, so we're working off a plan that was developed and implemented in 2015, so almost 10 years old. So it's a lot of things have changed in Bullitt County in 10 years, so it's been a long time coming to get this updated, so that's what we're working on. So I appreciate that.
As of today, we have 110 responses on the survey, which is, I'm pleasantly surprised.
That's what I was
but
getting
we'll-
at.
But we'll definitely take more if anybody's interested in doing it.
Yeah, there's a link to a survey where you can,
Yes.
1 through 12, pick out number 1,
Yep.
2, 3, what your concerns are. So it's a really good thing to take. So 110
110 so far.
110 people.
Yeah, and it's
I mean,
really, really important, so the more participation, because a lot of these planning and zoning, a lot of you are here, a lot of their recommendations are based on the comprehensive plan, so we're basing a lot of recommendations off something that's almost 10 years old, so that's why it's critical that we've, starting to, work on this and develop this and update it, so yeah, if you can make it an open house or have any feedback or do that survey, it definitely helps. Now's your chance, because a lot of people want to put in their input, but don't take those extra steps. Now's the time to do it.
Okay, thank you, Charlie. First reading, public hearing of zoning ordinance 24-12. Kenneth Shell. Tammy or Charlie?
Planning docket 2024 Z15, owner Kenny Shell, seeking to rezone from R1 Ag Extreme Reserve to B1. Parcel number 054-000-00-074, located in an unincorporated area of the county, 62.53 acres more or less, for the purpose of opening an outdoor sports facilities and clubhouse. Comprehensive plan calls for low-density residential. Pursuant to provisions of KRS 100.211, the Planning Commission held a public hearing on the application on May 9th, 2024. Based on the testimony of the applicants, Bullitt County Planning Commission finds the map amendment is not in agreement with the community's comprehensive plan. However, it is a low-density product and meets the goals and objectives. The following restrictions were added. To be used for a paintball facility only. The property cannot be subdivided for other commercial tracts. 20 acres plus or minus of woods in the northern floodplain area remain undeveloped with soft trails only. The east-west netted area must have 100-foot natural vegetation buffer. Hours of operation Monday through Friday do not begin prior to 9 a.m. Landscaping with a berm be added to the Kentucky 44 road frontage. 15 feet of right-of-way be dedicated for future expansion of Kentucky 44. Turning lanes or acceleration-deceleration lanes be added to Kentucky 44 per KYTC requirements. Primary parking lot shall be asphalt with overflow lot being gravel. And one 28-foot centrally located access drive with 2 left and right exit lanes. Because of the testimony received at the public hearing, the Bullitt County Planning Commission recommends this requested zoning change be approved and sends a favorable recommendation to Bullitt County Fiscal Court.
Thank you, Charlie. Tammy?
Commonwealth of Kentucky, County of Bullitt, zoning ordinance number 24-12. An ordinance relating to the changing of zoning of certain property from R1 residential, agricultural, and stream reserve to B1 highway business. The property in question is 62.53 acres more or less, located at Foster Lane, parcel number 054-000-00-074 in an unincorporated area of the county. Whereas the Fiscal Court of Bullitt County has considered the evidence of the public hearing held by the Joint Planning Commission and the recommendations of the Commission, the information provided in the staff report of the Office of Bullitt County Planning and Zoning, and the testimony and evidence presented at the public hearing held by the Fiscal Court, and whereas the Fiscal Court concurs in and adopts the reasons of the Joint Planning Commission for said zoning change, and approves and accepts the recommendations of the Planning Commission in this matter as set out in said minutes, and determines that the proposed zoning change is acceptable and should be approved. Now therefore be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of County of Bullitt, Commonwealth of Kentucky, Section 1, that the above property located in the unincorporated area of Bullitt County, and more particularly described in the minutes and records of the Planning Commission in docket number 2024Z-15, is hereby changed from R1 residential, agricultural, and stream reserve to B1 highway business. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect upon passage and publication as required by law. Section 3, should any section, provision, or part of this ordinance be declared unconstitutional or invalid for any reason by a court of competent jurisdiction, then the remainder of this ordinance shall not be effective and shall remain in full force and effect. Section 4, all ordinances and resolutions to the extent they are inconsistent herewith are hereby repealed. Given first reading and public hearing at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 4th day of June 2024, to be given second reading at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 18th day of June 2024.
Thank you, Tammy. Anyone here to speak for zoning ordinance 24-12? Kenneth Shell.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can everyone hear me? Kyle Galloway, 9625 Ormsby Station Court, Louisville 40223, attorney for the applicant. I have with me Mr. Shell.
Kenneth Shell, owner and operator of the potential facility.
Okay.
We're happy to answer questions. I did bring a PowerPoint that could be loaded up if you guys wanted to see some pictures. It's not anything different than what was already in the presentation, except we did update the site plan per the restrictions that were put to record or in the planning commission hearing. We think this is obviously a great project. We feel like we've made a number of accommodations that will really handle the traffic issues that everyone was concerned about at the hearing. And we think this will, we request your approval if you're so inclined. Thank you.
Okay.
Is that something you have, Candy?
Do you have the PowerPoint? So just let him walk you through it, okay?
I'd like to see it. I mean, it's
Sure.
something we haven't seen.
Yeah, Kenny, do you want to talk through it? Yeah. This is make sure you're talking to Mike to make sure everybody can hear. This is a cover sheet, but then we can talk about it.
This right here is one of the recreational type fields. There's different types of paintball. I just traveled back day before yesterday from Texas, first major event of the year. So there's a competitive side where there's tournaments. There's people worldwide that went to the tournament in Texas. This one right here would be more of a recreational style for birthday parties, corporate outings. I owned a former facility in Louisville off Stone Street for over 20 years. We sold that facility in 21, or that property in 21, and they built a warehouse there. We had some other properties that we sought out afterwards. We sold that property, but I found this one, and where we are now is the property right there on 44. Like I said, this page right here is more of a recreational style field. And
Let's go to the next slide.
The next slide.
So this
is the site. As the introduction spoke of, the back 20 acres of the property that kind of L's, a reverse L, that's going to stay undeveloped all the time. The 100-foot buffer on each side, the east and west side of the property.
We can show the site plan on that. If you want to go to the next slide, Kenny. Keep one more. Actually, one more.
Sorry about that.
Keep going. It's in there.
There it is right there. Some of the field, like the front part is the front parking lot, which would be asphalt. The right side would be an overflow parking that will be some gravel, but will probably eventually be asphalt. A pro shop on the left side in front of the parking lot, and then the green blocks, some of those will be artificial turf fields that they have inflatable type bunkers on for hiding or playing the game. And then some of the larger ones on the right would be one of the recreational fields. And then the last block towards the rear of the property, that's pretty much going to be just grass that would be for any type of vendors we have. A lot of tournaments or any type of events we have, they might have almost like a carnival type atmosphere that would have vendors and from other manufacturer companies and for teams to set up. But that could also be where temporary netting is put up. All those fields and blocks are surrounded by netting. The lowest net would be 12 foot, but the ones towards the front roadway, that's probably going to be 18 to 20 foot tall netting that keeps all the paintball projectiles inside the gameplay. None of it leaves the field ever. So
it's also, they're sunk down.
And they are the way the plan is still being developed, that they are going to be below grade, where you would not even be able to see them from any roadway. Even with the buffer that's going to provide, you wouldn't be able to see it anyway, but if the buffer wasn't there, it's going to be probably 8 to 10 foot below grade, which would also keep any sound inside more of an arena, which is also, there's another reason for that, for sound mitigation, but also for spectating. Paintball is a very fun, exciting game to watch. And I can speculate, probably maybe nobody on this panel have you ever played the game before? What we do, you have?
My son has.
It's, well, I love it. But over 30 years of being in paintball, I traveled all over the world playing. One of the main things that, like I said, average game might only be 10 or 12 minutes long, but the memories that is made, just like you go play golf with your friends. It's all about the game of golf when you're going there, but you don't remember that birdie you made. You don't remember that par 3 on a par 4. It's the memories with your friends there. That's what we will be delivering to all of our facility here.
So much of the rest of the presentation, thank you, Kenny, is, sort of reiterating what was read in the ordinance. I do want to point out there's another type of obstacle course that we might have on the site. We do feel like this is a great attraction for the county. I think it will help tourism. I think it'll bring in people from out of state. And we do feel like, it's a really exciting project that I think everyone will really be pretty excited about here. So.
Can you go back to your map, or the site map?
Yes, sir.
On that particular map, is 44 at the very bottom, the parking
Yes,
lot?
that's correct.
Okay.
And it's not shown because we don't know where it's going to be, but there was a request from the chair of the planning commission to have a centralized entrance off of 44. And so we'll place that wherever KYTC wants it.
I'm looking at the actual, is that the actual property line of the property, or is that just the property line of the proposed area?
It is the boundary of the property.
The whole 62 acres.
Yeah, and it's roughly, I know I bought 68, I hope it's 68, so.
Yeah.
But it does have a weird shape to it, but it's, or odd, but that is the boundary lines of the property.
How many feet approximately are you from the playing area to the right side there, property line?
That's a 100-foot buffer, which is what's required. And it'll stay, we need to keep vegetation in there. There's a lot of trees there already. It was formerly agricultural, but it's not really been used in several years, many years.
Yeah, it's pretty much all trees, a lot of scrub brush. And we, in the front side of it, the plan is detailed, I guess, when you zoom in, but there'll be landscaping in the front, with a berm in the front as well.
The 20 acres that you said that would not be developed, is that the part that's in the flood plan?
Some of it is in the floodplain. It'd be where it says wooded area 1 and wooded area 3, that back there is just gonna be all woods.
And that's mostly in the floodplain, you're
Yes.
correct, yeah.
The upper area where the fields are, that's not in the floodplain at all.
How many parking spots do you anticipate on the paved area there?
I wanna say,
I think it was about 200, but I could be wrong. Our engineer was detained, his father passed away, so he couldn't make it tonight. It didn't happen today, but I'm trying to find the plan. I think it's 200. 285 spaces.
280. Is there any type of speakers involved with any of it anywhere? Is there music? Is there
nothing that would
animation?
be, yeah, there is some, it'd be like, if on a tournament, and like when I said tournaments, there's probably like 4 of those a year, maybe. And some of those don't utilize these, but there might be a tone, like a game starts in typically 10 seconds, and it might be like a beep, 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 a little bit
A
louder.
buzzer type thing, but nothing.
Yeah, not and like a buzzer. Nobody's announcing or anything like that. There's no, like a football game or nothing like that.
I noticed one of the restrictions, number 5, says hours of operations Monday through Friday does not begin prior to 9 a.m. I didn't see anything about it ending. Did they put any restrictions, or is there anything you were aware of about at 12 o'clock? Because I've been to some zombie shoots before, and they can go 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Like there's, without a special event, I mean, all of ours is gonna end at night. There's no plan for lights. There is a type of game that's becoming some popularity. It's a glow ball type, and but it like has UV lights, but it's not, they're not up high. They're maybe only right below the net that makes the ball glow. But even them, that would be over about, I wouldn't say about 10 p.m. or something like that. There's nothing that's gonna go into the AM.
You said that there would be about 4 tournaments a year.
Yes, ma'am.
And how many people do you expect to be at your tournament? Just an estimate.
An average, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Just an estimate.
the tournaments I've hosted, I ran one of the largest amateur leagues in the world there, and we would have anywhere from 25 to 40 usually is the teams. And there'd be a 5-man team on that. But the thing is, a lot of the time slots they know what time they're playing in the prelims. So some of them would show up early to watch who their competitors, what their strategy of part of paintball is just being able to watch the team you're going to be able to play, what they're doing on that particular layout. But I would say we spoke about it being 500 to 1,000 people max. That's with spectators, players, everything, but it's not all at one time.
Throughout the day.
It'd be throughout the day. And then that's preliminary rounds. Sunday is typically when finals would be, and that would go down to from that many teams to probably 10 to 15. And then those numbers would be a quarter of that.
Are these tournaments done like spring, winter?
Most of them in spring, summer, and
Spring, summer.
like the season usually ends around October, but there would be still recreational play other than that throughout the 12 months out of the year.
And a tournament will last how long? Like 2 days, 3
Yeah, 2 days, Saturday, Sunday.
Saturday and Sundays?
Mhm.
Did it also say that y'all were gonna install a turning lane for 44, coming from both directions, I assume?
I don't know if it's both directions, but we were asked to put in either a turning lane or I think a deceleration lane in accordance with KYTC. So, let's see here. Turning lanes or an acceleration, deceleration on Kentucky 44. Yes, we'll do that. We just have to run it by KYTC, do what they say.
Whatever they will allow us to do.
Okay, so you don't know the specs of it yet or anything, like the length?
No,
I was
we
wondering
don't.
length.
No. The plan is to do it unless KYTC won't let us.
So obviously you wouldn't be here, but I assume that the restrictions that they put on the Planning and Zoning Commission, you're okay with all the restrictions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
Maybe later, but.
Well, thank you all for
No,
presenting.
thank you very much. We think
Okay.
it's a great use.
All right.
It's not too intense.
Gotcha. Okay, anyone here to speak against zoning ordinance 24-12, Kenneth Shell? Rowan?
I don't even know where to start on this one. I went to planning and zoning and I looked at the application. The application said they wanted to rezone 6 acres. That's what's written on the application. Okay, every letter I got said over 6 acres, like 60-some acres. It's just, this whole thing from the get-go, this whole thing has been totally messed up. The first letter I got said HC Development was rezoning this property. Then a little while later, I get another letter that says that Mr. Shell is rezoning this property. First one said they were rezoning from R1 Ag Stream Reserve B1 and to B1 and Ag. Okay. The second one said they were rezoning from R1 Ag Stream Reserve to B1. Now, I talked to planning and zoning and they said, oh, well, we've been communicating with them on, text, okay? But to my knowledge, the application itself that these people signed never said 68 acres. It says 6 acres. Okay. The next letter I got from planning and zoning, it says that on, let's see, it was for a zoning for Jeff Brown at West Blue Lick Road and Sondollar Court. I never got a letter that said that they were having a fiscal court meeting today. I had to call planning and zoning to found out for sure yesterday. Now I've talked to people that are adjoining property owners that couldn't make it here tonight because they didn't know, because they didn't get a letter stating that this meeting was tonight. Some of them are on vacation. Okay? So there's just too many things wrong with this case that I can say. Number two, I live right across the street from that. Directly across the street. I know we went through this a year ago. We asked not to have apartments on that property. It didn't get rezoned for the R3 because there was no way that you could put 200 apartments and a bunch of single-family dwellings on that property with the way the traffic is on Highway 44. Well, in that year, the traffic has not changed on Highway 44. Now, this may not create as much traffic, but I live across the street from it. And I just don't know that I want that across the street from my house. I don't know what kind of people are going to come in there. I have 2 small grandchildren. I can't see putting something like that. This property, under the comprehensive plan that we are following now, is low-density residential. It does not touch any commercial property. I don't see a need for commercial property right there. Everything around it is residential. Everything around it's residential. There may be a couple of businesses down the road, but they're not even close to this property. They're just, I don't know, I'd really like you all to really think about this, because the application also stated that that this property was close to 65. Well, to me, close to 65 is in the city of Shepherdsville or whatever. It's 3 miles from 65. I know my 3 minutes is probably up, but I'm asking you to please think about this. Another question I have, if they leave in 20 acres that, why are they rezoning that 20 acres to commercial? And I think we all know that if this goes through as B1 zoning, okay, all these people have to do, they can try to get annexed into the city of Shepherdsville. All they have to do is go back to fiscal court and ask fiscal court, planning and zoning, to lower those restrictions or release them of those restrictions, and then they can put any kind of business they want in there. So I want y'all to think about that too. Think about us that live right by there. I know someday there's going to be a purpose for this property. I just don't think this is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Roanne.
Do you have any questions?
What would you like to see there?
Pardon me?
What would you like to see in that piece of property?
Well, if you're gonna put anything there, it's low residential. Everything around us is about an acre or more. And I think that something like that, more like estate size properties, I just feel like it should be what it's zoned for and what it's the comprehensive plan calls for. Sometimes you can't put a bunch of apartments there. 44 won't handle it. Because if you put apartments there, you figure those people wanted 200 apartments. So if you figure everybody in those apartments had 2 cars, that's 400 cars, not counting what the other, R3 would be for. So I'd rather see it be like conservation or estate size lots, or at least 1 to 2 acre lots. Because that would be, we have 14 acres across the street. Our neighbors have 1 or 2 acres that live right next door to us. Most everybody around there is on an acre or more. There's very few properties that aren't. Maybe in Green Acres, they're smaller. But Green Acres has been there forever. So that's what I would like to see there, something like that, rather than, a bunch of businesses. Anybody else got a question?
Okay, thank you, Royanne.
Thank you.
Frank Smith.
Good evening, Your Honor and members of the court. My name is Frank Smith. I served as your state representative from 1978 to 1984. I brought with me copies. I've got 8 copies. Is it all right to distribute to the members of the court?
Yes.
This is the Kentucky 44 Alternative Study. I've got 8 copies, so how you... The reason I'll give you this because this is...
Thank you.
I'll take one. Thank you, sir.
The Kentucky 44 Alternate Study was conducted by the Kentucky District 5 Transportation Office from 2001 through 2004. And in June of 2005, they completed this study. There's some very pertinent information. Now, I might not be up to speed as some of you are on the court as far as what exists today, but this study is definitely a map that reflects our progress and the things that we need to do. On the second page, under list of tables, it says list of tables. It has exhibits. Exhibit 3 is year 2002, the traffic and level of service. Exhibit 4 is the year 2030 and the anticipated traffic and level of service. The Kentucky Department of Transportation grades the level of service, just like when you went to school. You got A through F, and E doesn't mean excellent. And so I'm going to touch briefly on those points. On the next page is the executive summary. And 44 has been rural in nature for a long time. And let me digress a little bit. I've lived in Green Acres for 50 years. So I've watched 44 develop. I've watched Bullitt County develop. I've watched the importance of Cedar Grove Interchange and how that has impacted our growth and our development. But 44 is primarily turned into a suburban area. And the concerns that the Planning and Zoning Commission, I only briefly read the summary of that meeting. I wasn't able to attend. But they didn't talk about the real issue of the traffic, the safety, and the need to develop 44 to this plan. We are almost 20 years from the day this plan was introduced. We've only made 3, they're improvements, but they're not the solution to Highway 44. We've improved Bells Mill Road, Armstrong Lane, and today I can't leave the firehouse and get to Mount Washington in less than 20 minutes in the afternoon. Why? Because of traffic, because it's just a 3-lane for a short period. It's backed up from elementary school in Bogart all the way to Bells Mill Road. So you got the traffic backed up to the red light. Where red light turns green, the traffic coming off Bells Mill can't even get on 44. Then they sit there, like 5 cars get out. And then the light turns green for 44 to go east. Well, it's already backed up. You can't go anywhere. And so it's still a very much congested area and not in any way solution to the needs of 44. So those things have been completed. You got your Bells Mill, your Bogart, and your Armstrong. But the other problem is that the traffic and condition of 44. When I said that the Department of Transportation gives you a grade, let me go back. These pages aren't numbered consecutively, but on the next last page, where it says Table 3, the loss of traffic, the level of service is what the LOS stands for. And if you'll notice, the grade that 44 got from Shepherdsville to Mount Washington was all D's and E's, with the exception of one small segment they got a C. This is in 2002. Now we're at 2024. None of those, and you can't elevate because we got the turning lanes, but in general, the standard hasn't grown. In fact, in 6 years, when the study was projected to be completed, at the rate we're going, in just 6 years, we'll have all E's and F's. What does that say about the future of 44 and the people live there? The traffic that's on it, there's 1.5 times or 50% more wrecks on Highway 44, up over 1,000 a year, than any state similar to it in the state of Kentucky. So we've got to look at this for the residents. What if I told you, which is true, it's the minimum side, that the residents that live on 44, the people that use Highway 44, spend $15 million a year, their exhaust goes up from sitting in traffic. $15 million, that's the low side, but you can take it, there's a formula, you can figure it out. It's over $15 million a year. That's not counting the loss of accidents. We have a wreck on 44. The EMSs can't get there. What if the rest of the community has a hard time? You need EMS, you need the fire department, you need the police department. They can't get to you because you got a wreck on 44 instead of 45. So we still have a failing grade on 44. 44 itself doesn't get a passing grade. They fixed the potholes, but there's dips and curves, and the drop-off from the edges are not compatible to safe driving environment. So we don't need, I don't know of any, maybe you can tell me, a B1 classification that would improve the level of service on 44, that will improve your constituents. 3 of you physical court members, that you have the north side of 44, one of you has the south side, one of you has part of the east side. So 3 of the physical court meetings have a major role in what goes on that highway. And you see in the mornings when you come to the school zone, the traffic's backed all the way up past Floyd's Fork. All these school zones, 50% of the accidents are rear-end accidents. And we haven't done enough, very little, to change that. And so we don't need any B1 classification on 44 between Shepherdsville and Mount Washington. And I would highly encourage you to take that into consideration, because the other people, every day, we face it. You got somebody, they want to put a business in, it sounds good, but how detrimental is it right now to every resident? Every day they go to work, pick up their kids, you're late for a doctor's appointment because there's hardly a week goes by that I don't encounter a wreck on 44. Mm-hmm. And I guess, well, I can see all of you. You've encountered it. I don't want to speak for them. But anyway, I would highly encourage the physical court to deny this request and would look seriously at any B1 classification. Because once it's done, I'm not familiar with all the ramifications, but once you get a B1 classification, which is a highway business, what's to keep anything else from going there? I know you're saying that they can only use it for paintball, but there's also residential. I don't want to go into that. It does not do anything whatsoever to raise the level of service of 44 to to the people of Bullitt County and the people that use this road. Thank you. I'll entertain any questions if you have any.
Any questions for Frank? Okay, thank you, Frank. Gary Board?
Good afternoon. I attended the Planning Commission meeting when this case was brought before them. And one of the things, I'm going to go on with traffic, that they did agree to put a acceleration lane and a turn lane. But to my way of thinking, that would only affect people heading from east to west. So people coming from 65, which probably most of the traffic would be coming from, and they have corporate events, is this going to include tour buses that are stopped waiting to make a left-hand turn into this property when you know how bad it can be coming from Mount Washington toward Shepherdsville? So how long will the residents have to sit behind tour buses? Should there have been a traffic study done before this even got this far? And the size of the parking lot, I heard them say 285 parking places. Where will all this water go? Will it just flow off to the surrounding property owners? Will they have to do something like Kroger's and the others, put places for the water to go out to a stream or something? So that concerns me. And also, I think, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, I think they said on the north side of the property, they would also use it for paintball activities, and it wouldn't be screened in. How far will a paintball travel if it's not, doesn't hit a tree or something? Could it go on to adjoining property owners? They say that paintballs are not harmful to the environment, but could it hit somebody's building and splatter on it? And also, what type of septic system would go in there? I don't imagine a 2 to 3 bedroom type septic system would work on this. So would they have to put a lagoon in? And I don't think the neighbors would want a lagoon in their property. And I guess the last thing would be, as he mentioned, and I was wondering why he vacated the property that he had over off the Stone Street. He said he sold it to pay for putting warehouses. So to me, that's something, because he seems like he's going to make this a paintball park, but if somebody offers him X amount of dollars, will he sell it out and become whatever a B1 property zoning would allow? So those are my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gary.
Josh Wrinkle.
How y'all doing?
Good.
My name is Josh Wrinkle, like he just said. I've lived here in Shepherdsville my whole life, and just to tell y'all a little bit about myself, I'm a musician. I play music for a living. I've traveled all over the country, all over the world. I've stood on stage at the Grand Ole Opry. I've walked the red carpet at the Grammys in Los Angeles. And I'm always proud to tell people that I'm from Shepherdsville. It's the first thing I tell them. I'm quick to tell them that I'm from Shepherdsville. Every time I come home to Shepherdsville, from being on tour, it seems like another patch of woods that's been cut down and paved over. And the gentleman talking about the paintball park, we're talking about memories, making memories. I think the children of Bullitt County deserve to have the same childhood that I have, looking at wildlife and wild places, woods. These 3 properties right here on 44, those are some of the last holdouts of forest land and brush land that we have along 44. Aside from music, my passion is hunting and fishing and wildlife conservation. I think in Bullitt County, we have a serious problem with habitat destruction, habitat deprivation for wildlife, It seems like every other day a new warehouse pops up, a new farm goes up, and that's places where wildlife live. And that's a big problem if you ask me. I don't know if y'all grew up looking at deer and turkeys, but I sure did, and I sure see a whole lot less of them. I think there's a thing that wildlife conservation has been built off of called the North American model of wildlife conservation. And that is a set of rules that a bunch of people got together and decided how wildlife was going to be conserved. And I think that's very important. And I actually trap on the property bordering this, on the Bridwell property. I run a small trap line. And I take my nephews and my niece out there and I teach them about wildlife conservation. It's one of my passions. And I just hate to see another piece of property get paved over, bush hogged, and ruined. I know that progress is important, but I also know that having wild places is important. And I'm just tired of seeing concrete. That's all I got to say. I know it probably doesn't make much of an impact, but I just wanted to voice my opinion. If y'all have any questions, I'd be glad to answer. If there is any, I don't know. Anybody? All right.
Questions for Josh?
Sounds good.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Thanks, Josh. Mark Richardson.
While I'm kind of getting my notes in order here, I'd like to ask this court, how many of you all, can we go back to the slide, please? The star graphic, if we could. Okay, while she's working on that, I'm not going to stall. I'm going to go ahead and do my defense here. We saw the map here on the wall with the star on it. What I wanted to show was the number 1 that was on that map. I'm the lucky resident that lives right underneath that 1. How many of you actually, and you don't have to show hands or anything, live within, let's say a mile of this project, that lives within a mile of it? If you're honest with me this evening, you might not say it publicly, but you will probably might say it to me in the open with nobody around. Would you want this in your backyard? I believe if you're honest with yourself and you're honest with me, you'll probably say, no, I'm really not crazy about that. I don't think I want that. You know, sometimes in life, when something does not affect you right then and there, doesn't infect you, you know, of course we have empathy. You know, we're sorry for it and all that. But soon, you know, the feeling goes away and we say, you know, that's your problem, not mine. And we go on with our lives. What this is I feel this is going to be our problem that live within the area there on 44. It's going to be the problem of people that's traveling 44. My question is, who's going to police this venue when if this thing actually starts going? Who is going to be policing the venue to keep things in some type of order here? It's been mentioned already a couple times by some of the speakers here. I don't know if this is for a fact. My wife says I've got the best sixth sense in the whole world. I can feel it. I feel like this paintball is a smokescreen for something to come. I honestly do. May not be for a while, but it will. I think there's going to be something in there. If this development goes in, I would recommend that Fiscal Court go ahead and buy another ambulance. We're probably going to need an extra ambulance to make runs up there due to this. And definitely, Mr. Scholler, Sheriff Scholler, would probably be looking for some extra deputies that's going to be needed to go up there to quell a fight. Somebody didn't shoot right. But last but not least, why don't you think about this? What's going to keep these people or group of individuals say, there's traffic moving up and down 44. Let's see if we can hit them. Let's see if we can take a shot at it. And then all of a sudden, 911, you start getting 911 calls that your vehicle, I'm serious, that your vehicle, and you're probably saying, oh, that's not possible, Mr. Richardson, you're crazy. Look at the world we live in today, folks. Look at the world we live in. You know, I could go on too with the 44 problems, but I'm not going to address those. We've all been there. We've beat that horse to death. The horse is dead, buried, and gone. This development is a recipe for problems, ladies and gentlemen. The decision really matters, boils down to common sense. It's a common sense thing. If I was sitting in your chair, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. I wouldn't have to think about this with everything that's going on in the county. In closing, I just hope that each of you step back and just think of the matters that I brought to your attention this evening. The old saying that I always say is, all good things come to those who wait. And I think that's what this board, this fiscal court board, needs to do, is just take a breath and vote no on this. But of all things in mind, I want you to remember this. We do not need this in our county. Mr. Logston, I'm going to kind of answer a question that you asked Ms. Hammond. You asked her, what would you like to see there? Right there where that big red star is at, what I would love to see is PEACE. Nothing. Peace. We're at your all's mercy. I don't want to use the old phrase, we're throwing ourselves before the court here. But think of our position. Think if you lived at number 1. I respect each and every one of you in your job that you do. It's not an easy job. And sure, one day this is going to be developed. But I just hope that this court will just take a deep breath, use common sense, and say, it's not the time for it. I appreciate every one of you. Thank you so much. Any questions for me?
Well, thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Mark. Appreciate every one of you.
Kyle Galloway. Oh, sorry. I'll have to discuss that with council. We've never done that I know of. Chris, you're an engineer too. Crumpton? Okay. I know Mr. Johnson wants to speak as well. Or do you still want to?
Mark on this. This is something you guys really, really need to think about. One thing about this, I made a few notes a while ago, not very many. Most everybody using that place won't live here. They won't live on 44. They'll come in there and use it and get out of here. And we got to deal with it. I don't think it's the right thing for that spot. Sorry. I had a few other notes. Most everybody's covered everything. I think there's, and then one thing Rose said. Why does 69 acres need to be B1? That just makes me feel like they're going to put, possibly be something put on that property that's not this thing on the whole 69 acres. And then we'll have to deal with that. From the city of Shepherdsville city limits to the city of Mount Orchard city limits on 44, there's 99% residential. There's a few little nitpicky businesses there that don't got 6 cars a day out. There's several of us back here. And Mr. Shell's, you know, I'm not trying to say you shouldn't have one, but that's not the right place. Any questions?
We appreciate you speaking.
Thanks for letting me talk.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
And on the rebuttal side, the attorney said, who? Long story short, we're not going to have a rebuttal. We've heard enough testimony. It was thorough. And we appreciate you all of you all coming in, speaking for and against this case. We'll now move on to first reading and public hearing for zoning ordinance 24-13. Friedman and Paula, you have to help me with the last name. Charlie. People. Okay, thank you. Charlie, where'd he go?
There were no secrets. I just asked Charlie, I had a question, and I just got to get it clarified. But right now, I'm just kind of curious if this wasn't put in there, you know, what they could immediately do with the property. And it's a lot of homes to be built, a lot of multifamily homes, a lot of homes to be built. So I'm just trying to look at all angles and stuff. But how many homes could be put in there technically, Charlie?
R1, the upper limit would be 200. R2, the upper limit would be 310. R3 would be 388. I haven't double-checked the math on the multifamily units, so I'm not going to speak to that one right now before I double-check that number. But that's a large number.
Okay. I was just curious if the way the zoning currently is, we couldn't stop anything, that could happen.
Am I remembering correctly though, last year when this came up, or I heard something, seemed like the ground doesn't perk, there's rock too close, and they were gonna have sewers that they can be able to develop it residentially?
And if they get sewers, then that reduces further the lot size. That allows them to get 14,000 square feet.
But I was of the understanding that it couldn't be developed without the sewers because it wouldn't perk, they couldn't put individual sanitary sewage treatment facilities on it.
I'm not aware of that, but again, if they had sewers, then that decreases the lot size that they could get.
Roanne may know that, because I think she had something about that I remember from last year. But I could be mistaken.
I don't think we have anything from the health department on that, but I know they have all different ways now that they can, dispose of that other than just your normal septic tanks. They've come up with new ways to deal with that problem, because there's a lot of places that don't.
Okay. Charlie, first reading public hearing, zoning ordinance 24-13, Friedman and Mr. Pye.
Planning docket 2024 Z20, Friedhelm and Paula Piepo, seeking to rezone from ag to R1, located at 7330 Beach Grove Road, parcel 039-000-00-014, in the unincorporated area of the county, 3 acres more or less. The purpose is to divide it into 2 lots. Comprehensive plan calls for low-density residential. Pursuant to provisions of KRS 100.211, the Planning Commission held a public hearing concerning the application on May 9th, 2024. Based upon the testimony of the applicants, the Bullitt County Planning Commission finds the map amendment is in agreement with the community's comprehensive plan and the zoning will fit the area. Because of the testimony received at the public hearing, the Bullitt County Planning Commission recommends this requested zoning change be approved and sends a favorable recommendation to the Bullitt County Fiscal Court.
Thank you, Charlie. Tammy?
Commonwealth of Kentucky, County of Bullitt, zoning ordinance number 24-13. An ordinance relating to the changing of zoning of certain property from agricultural to R1 residential. Property in question is 3 acres more or less, located at 7330 Beach Grove Road, parcel number 039-000-00-014, in an unincorporated area of the county. Whereas the Fiscal Court of Bullitt County has considered the evidence of the public hearing held by the Joint Planning Commission and the recommendations of the Commission, the information provided in the staff report of the Office of Bullitt County Planning and Zoning, and the testimony and evidence presented at the public hearing held by the Fiscal Court, and whereas the Fiscal Court concurs in and adopts the reasons of the Joint Planning Commission for said zoning change, and approves and accepts the recommendations of the Planning Commission in this matter as set out in said minutes, and determines that the proposed zoning change is acceptable and should be approved. Now therefore be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of County of Bullitt, Commonwealth of Kentucky, Section 1, that the above property located in the unincorporated area of Bullitt County, and more particularly described in the minutes and records of the Planning Commission in docket number 2024Z-20, is hereby changed from agricultural to R1 residential. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect upon passage and publication as required by law. Section 3, should any section, provision, or part of this ordinance be declared unconstitutional or invalid for any reason by a court of competent jurisdiction, then the remainder of this ordinance shall not be affected and shall remain in full force in effect. Section 4, all ordinances and resolutions to the extent they are inconsistent herewith are hereby repealed. Given first reading and public hearing at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 4th day of June 2024, to be given second reading at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 18th day of June 2024.
Thank you, Tammy. Anyone here to speak for zoning ordinance 24-13? Seeing or hearing none, anyone here to speak against zoning ordinance 24-13? Thank you all. Our budget hasn't come back from the Department of Local Governments yet, so we're going to skip that action item number 3. But I've got one to put in place of it. It's I know this is sort of the last minute, but it's something that Magistrate Johnson has wanted on the agenda for a while, and we got this prepared. I want to thank the county attorney for today. It's called the EPAD program, and this would be the first reading of that ordinance, and we will post it in the local newspaper and discuss with all parties involved with the action item of making this ordinance move forward. Tammy, it's ordinance 24-16.
Commonwealth of Kentucky, Bullitt County, ordinance number 24-16. An ordinance of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court relating to the establishment of an Energy Project Assessment District, or EPAD, program pursuant to KRS 65.205 to KRS 65.209 to advance the conservation and efficient use of energy and water resources within Bullitt County, Kentucky, by allowing for energy projects to be financed by assessments imposed upon the real property being improved through the energy projects, provision of the terms and conditions of the program, the statement of the intention that assessments will be utilized to support private sector energy projects, the designation of the EPAD and its boundaries, the provision for the administration of the EPAD program, the determination of the procedure by which owners of real property may petition the county for participation in the program, the designation of the Bullitt County Sheriff as the collector of the assessment, and the authorization of an interlocal agreement for the implementation and administration of the program. Be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of County of Bullitt, Commonwealth of Kentucky, in summary. Number 1, sets forth Energy Project Assessment District is established. Number 2, sets forth that assessments shall support private sector energy projects. Number 3, sets forth that the boundaries of the designated Bullitt County EPAD is all of Bullitt County. Number 4, sets forth that EPAD program is administered by Bullitt County. Number 5, sets forth that all property owners who wish to participate shall so apply. Number 6, sets forth that after approval, the county may impose an assessment on property as requested by the property owner to repay the owner's financing of an energy project. Number 7, sets forth required application elements. Number 8, sets forth acceptable energy improvements. Number 9, sets forth that property owners directly purchase or acquire equipment and materials necessary for energy improvements. Number 10, sets forth the means of collection. Number 11, sets forth that the county may charge participants a fee for offset of cost of administering the program. Number 12, sets forth the interlocal agreement is approved. Number 13, sets forth that terms and conditions may be amended by ordinance. Number 14, sets forth ordinance to be published. Given first reading at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 4th day of June 2024, and to be given second reading at a time to be determined by the court.
Thank you, Tammy. Anyone here to speak for this ordinance 24-16? Anyone here to speak against it? And I apologize for getting it on the agenda late, but it's something that we've been working on for a couple of months, and it was just time to bring action on it. Next thing that we have the second reading for zoning ordinance 24-14 for the animal control.
Commonwealth of Kentucky, Bullitt County, ordinance number 24-14. An ordinance amending ordinance number 17-11 relating to the control of animals within Bullitt County, Kentucky. Be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of County of Bullitt, Commonwealth of Kentucky, in summary, number 1, sets forth the definitions. Number 2, sets forth restraint required. Number 3, sets forth dogs and cats to be licensed and vaccinated against rabies. Number 4, sets forth impoundment procedures. Number 5, sets forth that adopted animals shall be sterilized. Number 6, sets forth drop-off fee and procedures. Number 7, sets forth that animals shall be confined when in heat. Number 8, sets forth that no animal shall be permitted to be a public nuisance. Number 9, sets forth animals shall be treated humanely. Number 10, sets forth prohibition of using dogs or cats as food or clothing. Number 11, sets forth diseased animals shall be contained. Number 12, sets forth interference prohibited. Number 13, sets forth the effective date. Number 14, sets forth severability. Number 15, sets forth inconsistent ordinances repealed. Number 16, sets forth a penalty. Given first reading at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 21st day of May 2024. Given second reading at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 4th day of June 2024. And Judge, like I said last time, I worked with Tony Wilson and David Nemus on the terms of the ordinance. And really it's to kind of bring us up to date with KRS requirements.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Tammy, and David is here, but I would like to put that in the form of a motion to approve the ordinance 24-14, the revised one for animal control.
I'll second that motion.
And I have a second by Second District Magistrate Logsdon. Kevin, call the roll, please.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Ms. Sanders?
Yes.
Mr. Logsdon?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Blaymore?
Yes.
Thank you. Action item number 5. It's a lease agreement for the property located at 1305 Pioneer Drive, Lebanon Junction, known as the Belmont Furnace property. You had some pictures of this, Candy. What the Historical Society brought this to us a couple of years ago, and what it is, it's the last standing furnace that we know of in the area, or partially part of it. The family's willing to lease us a property for a historical venue so we can add some tourism to the community. There's what I'm going to call, there's a real good superstructure of the bridge that we can put a top on from the Pioneer Trail over to the furnace itself. It's a opportunity for us to add to our great history here in Bullitt County because it was one of the ironworks that furnished what I'm going to say, not only cannonballs, but weapons for multiple wars in the early part of our history. If y'all need time to study it, that's fine, but I'd like to put this proposal before you all. We would maintain this through our park group as well.
What was the basic terms on length or cost or?
Lease is $1 per year.
Right.
$1 a year for
Dollar a
20
year.
20 years?
Yeah.
So if we made any investments, we're insured for 20 years.
We do the investments, we maintain the property. I think we had talked about putting in, like some information there at the
Right.
site and
Yeah.
and maintaining all of
I
that.
think it's a great idea. Anytime you can preserve history like this and keep that from disappearing and such a, probably, I don't know a lot of the history about it. That's really intrigued me, so I'm gonna look into it more now, but.
Call David Strange.
absolutely.
But I mean, definitely, I mean, I love history and preserving it, so I think it's a great idea, and very thankful that the family's willing to do that. And I think if we can make another spot in the county for people to visit and preserve history, it's a win-win.
Yeah, and to help you a little bit, magistrates, with the location, I know Mr. Blamel knows this, but it's right in front of Knob View Forest too.
Yeah.
So Knob View Forest that we have, that area. So it would add to the whole area.
Probably a mile south of 245,
Yes.
maybe a little more.
Candy, go back to that first picture. Was that was that a kind of that little sketch? Was that kind of what it looked like before?
Yes.
Is that it?
Yeah,
Like
that was it right there.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
All
those stones are still there.
Yeah.
A lot of cleanup, but it's.
Yeah, well, I think it's a great idea. I mean, if you,
It's not that far from off the road. The bridge is still there, the structure of the bridge. All we have to do is just put a top on it.
on that map, where's it at on the map? Where's it, on that aerial right there, where's that furnace and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's already a bridge across there that we.
Yeah,
can-
there's a bridge
just
across the
walking
creek. and-
bridge that we can use.
Yeah, but we have to put a top on it. All the steel is still there, Brian.
Do we need to, or we need to fence part, or maybe that boundary that I'm looking at?
Yes,
We need to fence that,
we-
so.
we will
'cause it
take
looks
care
like
of
they
that.
have cows and
Right, yeah,
I remember
it's a working farm there.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I think they said something about fencing around it so people wouldn't try to climb in it.
Absolutely, yeah, we don't want to
We
do
probably
that.
accept the liability
Oh,
once we take it on,
absolutely.
so we need to do whatever we need to do to make it safe in the
Right.
meantime as we preserve it,
Yep.
If there's
Kids crawling up in there.
Yeah, if there's a temporary time period where we need to even block it off until it gets, where it's safe to visit, it might be something we need to look into, but I'm all for it, and is that a motion you put on the floor for that, or is that?
I would like to sign the, because we've been in dialogue with them for, I know since Tammy's been here, and maybe a little bit of Rob and them, and some of the other
As
members.
long as Tammy feels comfortable with the lease and you've
Yeah,
seen
their
it.
lawyer and I went back and forth on these terms, and it's acceptable, and I
Yeah, yeah.
personally think it's a great idea. so.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do too, so if you've got a motion on the floor, I'll second it.
Okay. Kevin, call the roll then, please.
Judge, you made the motion, right?
Yes. To accept the lease agreement.
All right, Ms. Sanders,
Yes.
Mr. Logston,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Blamel,
Yes.
Judge Summers.
Yes. Okay, and then number 6 is the last one on this meeting today. It's the interlocal agreements with the Mount Washington, Shepherdsville, basically all the cities in Bullitt County. It's something that we've renewed each year. Yes. Sure.
Hunter's Hollow is not on this. Are they supposed to be, or have they been left off? I don't see their name on any of the documents as I look through them. There's 5 northern cities, I only found 4.
Okay. That's a good
Well,
catch.
that Hunter's Hall was not on the email that I got from the judge's office, but that could be an oversight.
Yep.
I should have caught that too.
It just, election stuff.
So we can move forward with these and then always check with them and
Yeah.
meetings and if they want to be added or work.
Apparently, we don't do much work in Hunter's Hollow.
Well, and Hunter's Hall only has a few streets, maybe they just don't need anything done.
Right. Okay. So, any other discussion on this? I need somebody to put this in the form of a motion.
Motion that we accept the interlocal agreements with Mount Washington, Shepherdsville, Hillview, Pioneer Village, Hebron, Fox Chase, and Lebanon Junction as they were introduced in our packets.
Okay.
I'll second.
Got a motion by First District, Second District Magistrate Logston, a second by Third District Magistrate Johnson to accept interlocal agreements as presented in the packet for 7 of the 8 cities. Kevin, call the roll, please.
Mr. Logston?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Blingell?
Yes.
Mr. Summers?
Yes.
Ms. Sanders?
Yes.
Okay. I know it's late, but we need an executive session, but what we'd like to do is do the comments first, court comments, in case those don't want to stay around for a while. It could be a while. Yes, ma'am.
Is this the time that I could address some public comments now that I'm sitting here thinking about it on an issue that you discussed earlier?
Yes, you can, since you've stayed this long. Since you've been here for the whole meeting. Come on. Okay?
Thank you.
And your name is?
My name is Sandy Bright.
Sandy Bright.
Sandy Bright, we already got it. I was taking notes, and as I was listening to the gentleman talking about the extreme park, I sat here and I thought, oh my gosh, I live directly on 44. I live at 3340 Highway 44. And I'm sitting here thinking as I'm listening to all this, the traffic is unbelievable. The accidents that have happened between my house and my neighbor was a fatal bus crash, and you all probably know that. You know how long it took to clear that up? You know what it's like to have people hold tarps so the other school buses' children do not have to see that? Hours. I responded from my house, a head-on collision as a nurse, and the guy was pretty injured, right there at the same spot as the bus crash. Do you recall having a semi-truck turned over completely on its side because there is no edges? There is no easements on either side in front of my house? The same place where the bus was, over here, was a semi-truck laying on the opposite side. You know how long that took for them to remove that semi-truck all day? So now you want to add an extreme park. It doesn't matter if you're putting in a apartments or a complex that is just 2 driveways down in the Galler Field, or you're adding another 500 people on the traffic jam that's going to happen. It impacts all of us who live there on 44. If you don't live on 44, you're not impacted. But you probably drive it because you know exactly what time to leave your house to avoid the traffic for the buses. Exactly. You've got a 10-minute leeway, or you're going to be stuck sitting there. So when you develop the property 2 doors down from me or 1 mile down from me, you're going to be adding 400, 500. How many more people? You have a responsibility to take care of the road first. That's not including the field across from me that has herds of deer that are in my yard every night. How many deers have been hit from the new subdivision past my house because there's no deer signs there? Why do accidents keep happening in that little zone? It's just a minor curve. But there's something in that curve that people are constantly either off the road on my house where they have a little ditch and there's no culvert, and I'm either helping people who are injured or I am picking up car parts. I'm picking up people's front ends going, there's another one, or I have a little trench where they just went right off the road, and you think, why would people have a problem with just a slight curve in the road? That there's something wrong there. There's not a slow down there, there's no warnings, there's no nothing, and you think, how many more people are going to be coming this way or that way and go? how many more accidents do I have to experience in my front yard, or how many more mailboxes driving over do I have to replace? How many cars have come from my house to my neighbor's house that land in the golfers field over there, that the police wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning with, there's been a slight accident here, ma'am, I'm going to give you a ticket so you can register that violation down there because they've done property damage across all 3 properties. And it happens all the time. I cannot imagine making that decision today, going, I need more traffic, and I do agree. I wonder about the gentleman's need of 60-some acres, and will that really stay like that? Because he sold his property. I know exactly where his property was before, because I lived in the South End. And what he did with it, and why didn't he keep it and do the same thing there? So I don't think we need any more concrete warehouses. I certainly don't think we need any on 44. But I'd like you to consider that when you think about it. And if it was me today, I would wonder, the gentleman had a great point about his forecast coming in 2030 and how bad that road is for development. That needs to be tended to first. I don't really want to see that happening. The other thing I would say is, if you really want to know, ask the police for a report for the past 2 years and say, how many accidents from Mount Washington up here to the Bullitt High School has there been responded to? I mean, I'm sure it's an unbelievable amount. I know because I live it. I see that. It happens. I can't tell you how many deers from here to here that have to be drug off to the back field, that I have to get neighbors to help me because people avoiding the deers. There's accidents all the time, and it's going to keep happening when you take 69 acres and expect those deers to relocate someplace else. They're going to keep traveling the same path because that's what they do. They walk the same path every night in the same little herds. So thank you for listening. Thank you for giving me the time.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Allow me to preach while I've been sitting there stirred up about this.
I could tell you had something to say.
I must be passionate about this tonight.
No, I understand.
But I
that.
thank you all for giving me the time
Yes,
just
ma'am.
to listen to that.
Okay.
So thank you, sir.
Well, Ms. Bright, thank you for
Thank
your
you. Thank you. Thank you
for
very much.
your articulation of that. So, Vera, any comments?
No comments.
Sean,
No, I'm good.
Karen?
This weekend is the Hillview City Fair. They're celebrating 50 years in the city. So they have some T-shirts for sale. I'll show you one of my T-shirts.
Well, the county fair starts Monday, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Brian?
Yeah, I was just going to say about the county fair on the 10th, and I
Good.
believe we did or do have 2 dump trucks coming in maybe tomorrow or this week for the road department.
Mm-hmm. Yep. 2 big brand new ones. Yep.
They come in tomorrow, dump trucks?
Yep.
Two, I think.
Yep. Anything else? Good? Okay. And also LJ has we mentioned the fair and the Hillview 50th anniversary. LJ has a street dance this weekend. But I do want to drill down a little bit deeper here about Chris and Rebecca and what we have done as a court by putting the permanent EMS station and ambulance and medical services in Lebanon Junction. I think the point is well taken about how well that they performed to be able to get that infant to the hospital in a timely fashion. If we as a court and a community between the Bullitt County Fiscal Court and the Lebanon Junction City Council had never pursued that, things could have probably been different. And we'll be moving forward with the facility down there. It's basically finished except for a walkthrough, and the health provider is going to do a walkthrough with it sometime this week. So that's what I have, and I do apologize to the court for the extra zoning ordinance, but it's something we've been trying to work through for a couple months now. So, anyway, at this time,
Real quick, I just want to say thanks to the EMS too. I unexpectedly had to miss our last meeting, and just some of you know, and I know some things have been shared, but my heart jumped out of rhythm. My heart rate was up around 200, so I had a trip in the ambulance, and I was out of town in Owensboro, so I had a vacation. I was there 8 nights and 9 days, but they did a cardio version, shocked my heart, got it back in rhythm. I'm supposedly doing good. I got to wear a heart monitor for like 30 days. And I carry this phone around in case something goes crazy that sends a message to the cardiologist. But I feel great, and I wasn't at the last meeting, and I had to abstain today from voting on the minutes, but that was the reason. But I'm doing real good, feel good. So I just wanted to share that. So I had a lot of people reach out. Thanks for that. I tried to keep it kind of a secret there for a while because I had a lot going on, but I appreciate everybody that reached out, and I'm feeling good. So we'll keep moving on.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
There's got a motion to go into executive session.
Yes.
I'll second it.
okay.
I'd like to make a motion to go in executive session to discuss personnel.
I have a motion by First District Magistrate Sanders, a second by Second District Magistrate Logsdon, going to executive session to discuss personnel. Kevin, call the roll, please.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Fleenel?
Yes.
Ms. Summer? Judge
Yes.
Summers?
Yes.
Ms. Sanders?
Yes.
Mr. Logsdon?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.